What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. Today we're going to be talking about the NFC East, and can the NFC East this year get back or start to get back to the glory days, back to where they were as one of the most feared divisions in football. But before we get into that, I got to give a huge shout out to the new channel memberships. We're going to give a huge shout out first to OGR Sports, who got the gold tier membership, then Bolda FIFA, who subscribed to the platinum tier membership, and then my guy, one of my favorite subscribers, one of my favorite subscribers to talk to, Mike Nixon, who subscribed to the diamond tier membership. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your perks, and hopefully we can get this growing and add more perks to the channel membership. Thank you guys so much. Your names will also be in the outro of my video. If you guys want to join in and join the 27 Squad and subscribe, make sure you hit that join button next to the subscribe button, or you can hit the link in the description and you could join that way. Also, merch in the description as well. So let's get right into it. Can the NFC East get back to the glory days? As you guys know, the NFC East is one of the most historical divisions in football. The Dallas Cowboys, who doesn't know about the Dallas Cowboys? The New York Giants, who doesn't know about the New York Giants? The Philadelphia Eagles, they have a lot of history behind them too. And the Giants-Eagles rivalry is insane. The Giants-Cowboys rivalry is insane. The Cowboys-Eagles rivalry is insane. You have to love that. Of course, you got the redheaded stepchild, the Washington Redskins, but they have their history too. Don't get me wrong, they have 3 Super Bowl rings, and we can't forget about those. The NFC East was one of those divisions, and it's for the most part still is, where back-to-back teams will not win the division. You know, sometimes it's the Giants, sometimes it was the Eagles, sometimes it was the Cowboys, maybe even the Redskins, who won it back in, I believe, 2014, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there, or 2013, or 2015, I can't remember. One of those years, they won the division. And in my opinion, I think the NFC East is starting to get right back on the rails, right back on track to being one of the most feared divisions in the NFL. Let's start off with the division favorites, and then we'll work our way down, as the Dallas Cowboys are still pretty much feared. I mean, they're mediocre at best, but they have the potential to be a 3-13 team every year. You look at what they're going into next year. They fired Jason Garrett, who wasn't really a match for them anymore. They had to move on. He's with the Giants now. We'll get into that when we talk about the Giants. But Mike McCarthy is their new head coach, and I think adding that veteran experience really helps the Cowboys in keeping in the same direction going forward. Instead of downgrading and having to work your way back up, they are still pretty much in win now mode. You look at the acquisitions they made in the offseason. They signed a bunch of guys, including Clinton Dix, Don Terry Poe, Cameron Irving was a first round bust, just a list of Daryl Worley, I believe, as well. Not to mention Gerald McCoy. They're really in a win now type of mindset. On top of that, you look in the draft. A lot of people talk about that CD Lamb pick. I don't like it as well, but it really boosts that wide receiving core, really boosts that triple threat there at wide receiver with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CD Lamb. Dak Prescott throwing the ball. He's on that franchise tag right now, but no doubt about it, he's going to get paid by the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott is still a monster, and then you look at that offensive line, still great. They drafted Tyler Biadasz in, I believe, the 3rd or 4th round. I believe it was the 4th round. And it's like they didn't downgrade at all. The Cowboys are still on top. They're still going to be a threat. You look at Trevon Diggs, the cornerback out of Alabama, getting him in the 2nd round, adding him. They lost Byron Jones, who, they lost him to Miami. They're paying him $17 million a year, so there was no way they were going to keep him around. So they had to replace him. They still have Jordan Lewis there. They've got Daryl Worley there as well. They also add Trevon Diggs as well, the younger brother of Stephon Diggs. Neville Gallimore was a extremely good pick out of Oklahoma in round 3. I don't know. I guess they're trying to add some type of rotation there with the Dallas Cowboys. They have Don Terry Poe, Gerald McCoy, adding Neville Gallimore in there as well. 2 picks I really love from Dallas adding in Tyler Beatich, the center out of Wisconsin, or Biadic. I don't really know how to say it, but I was really targeting him for the New York Giants. In the 3rd and 4th round, I was really hoping for Tyler Beatich at the center position, and he goes to the Cowboys, so now I have to hate the guy as well. But a fantastic pick in replacing Travis Frederick. And then we look at a really underrated pick, and that's Bradley Anae, the edge rusher out of Utah. I really love this guy. I thought he was a 3rd or 4th round grade on him. He winds up falling to the 5th. Great value there for the Cowboys. So as far as how their draft goes, as far as how their offseason goes, they really haven't diminished their expectations in any sort of way. We now look at the second favorite for the NFC East, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's kind of debatable. You ask a lot of NFC East fans, you ask NFL fans alike, it's really debatable who is really going to be on top there, the Eagles or the Cowboys. The Cowboys just seem to be a little bit more consistent, as the Eagles are a little bit more hit or miss. I get the Cowboys, won 3 straight, then lost 3 straight, but you pretty much know what you're going to get from the Cowboys, and they also are beating down on the Eagles as well as far as the division matchups goes. I believe they swept the Eagles for 2 years in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they did. So as far as that race goes, you really have to beat your division rivals to beat, to win that division championship. And you look at the Philadelphia Eagles as well. I really like what they did in the offseason. Except one pick, which we'll get to in just a second. But I really like what they did in the offseason. And we talk about Carson Wentz versus Dak Prescott. That's something that also is going to boost this division as far as, people knowing more about it and the division getting more and more competitive compared to other divisions. You look at Carson Wentz with the Eagles and Dak Prescott with the Cowboys. Them two are always going to be compared coming out of the same draft, and they're into the same division, and they're going to be competing twice a year and maybe even in the playoffs. But you look at what the Philadelphia Eagles have done in the offseason. They've got guys like Darius Slay, Marcus Goodwin, who they traded for just a 6th round pick. This guy is all about speed, and that's something the Philadelphia Eagles really love as well, is speed. They also got Jatavis Brown, who I think is an underrated selection. Nobody's even talking about Jatavis Brown, but he had some games where he played pretty well with the Chargers. And then you look at another underrated pickup as well, Javon Hargrave out of Pittsburgh. I like what the Philadelphia Eagles did. I know it's crazy for me to say being a Giants fan. I'm just being analytical at this point. I like what the Philadelphia Eagles did. But then we move on to the draft. And I honestly like the end of their draft more than I like the beginning of their draft, and you can kind of see where they're trying to go here. But Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver out of TCU, there were a couple of Eagles fans who wanted him over any other wide receiver. I personally would have selected a Brandon Ayuk instead. Justin Jefferson, I think, is a good pick. I know a lot of people saying Justin Jefferson doesn't fit their scheme. I think Justin Jefferson would be great for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he fit them perfectly to a T. This is a guy with height and speed, and not extreme height, but really good combination of height and speed. I thought he fit them perfectly. On top of that, Philly needs an outside guy, but they can use a faster slot guy because they run that spread that spread offense. So Jalen Reagor being selected in the 1st round, I thought it was a decent selection. A lot of people are saying that, I have said in the past too, that Jalen Reagor is probably going to be another Nelson Aguilar. I said that as a joke, but you never know. We'll see what happens there, but really reminds me of him, not as far as dropping the ball, but just play style. And then we talk about Jalen Hurts. That pick was what the hell was that? And it's something that warms your heart as a Giants fan. The Eagles wasting a 2nd round pick on Jalen Hurts. I don't think Jalen Hurts was, as a quarterback, wasn't even worth a second round pick. But they're talking about using him in a different way. Like how Taysom Hill and Drew Brees are kind of used. Having 2 quarterbacks on the field at the same time. As you heard, a Philadelphia Eagles insider guy on the offense talk about he wants to one day have an offense with 2 quarterbacks on the field. Good luck with that, but we'll see what happens. But that was pretty bad. I thought the Davion Taylor pick was a pretty good pick. The Eagles have been cycling linebackers for a couple of years. They haven't really had stability at the linebacker position, but they pick up decent talent here and there. They lost some guys as well. So we move on to Kayvon Wallace, the safety out of Clemson. I think he was a great pick as well. He was someone I wanted the Giants to get if we didn't get a safety early. They wound up picking him up in the 4th round. But I really love, oh my God, The Eagles draft in the end of the draft is an A+ for me, but I have to give it like a B or a B- because of their earlier picks. But going on in the draft, it starts with Kayvon Wallace in the 4th round, but then you talk about Jack Driscoll, that offensive lineman out of Auburn. And they drafted both the tackles out of Auburn, Jack Driscoll and Prince Tega Awanago. And I think he's a sleeper as well in the later rounds. You look at Sean Bradley, the inside linebacker out of Temple. He's someone that I wanted the Giants to draft as well later on. And I'm a Boise State fan, so I knew this pick was coming. I had a feeling, but John Hightower out of Boise State going to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're getting themselves an excellent wide receiver, wide receiver core going with John Hightower, Marcus Goodwin, Jalen Reagor. That's just in this draft. I believe they picked up another wide receiver, if I'm not mistaken. They also drafted Quez Watkins, the wide receiver out of Southern Miss. Don't know too much about him, but they're really going off on the wide receivers. A lot of Eagles fans were complaining that the Eagles didn't pick up wide receivers in free agency, but you see what they did here in the draft. So the Eagles are still back in it as far as competing for that division championship. You look at the New York Giants now, probably the 3rd favorite in this division. And I'm a New York Giants fan, so I could talk to you all New York Giants. The Giants have probably, if everything goes right, because this is all based on potential, if everything goes right, the Giants are probably the most improved team of 2020 in all of the NFL. The Cincinnati Bengals are right up there as well, and the Arizona Cardinals, adding guys like Isaiah Simmons on there, having a great draft and building on what they had, last year. But the New York Giants are a very special case because they went out and grabbed up someone from the New England Patriots, and it's not just a New England Patriots coach. You look at this guy's press conferences in Joe Judge. You look at what he's all about. The guys that he brung in here. We brung in Mark Colombo, the former offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Jason Garrett, the former head coach, now the offensive coordinator of the New York Giants, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys. He's bringing in a lot of familiar faces in the NFC East. And he's also brought in guys from top tier areas. Sean Spence, the D-line coach in Penn State. The Giants didn't really pull too much in free agency. Not that I really like, the Kyler Fackrell and Blake Martinez pickups were fine. I'm not really big on the Blake Martinez pickups, but you look at James Bradberry was a fantastic move. Now that I'm thinking about it, I love the James Bradberry move. And you look at the draft. Just look at the draft and what the Giants did. As you guys know, in the past 2 years, the Giants drafted Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones in those consecutive respective drafts. And now they had to protect those guys. And what do you do to protect those guys? You build up the offensive line. You build through the trenches. The Giants drafted 3 offensive linemen in this draft. And these guys, if everything goes right, within year 2 of these guys' careers, all 3 of them are going to be on the starting lineup. Shane Lemieux at center, being switched to center. Matt Peart at right tackle and Andrew Thomas at left tackle. The Giants' offensive line has probably been the Achilles heel for their success in the past couple of years. You get that going, and then you worry about everything else. So I really love what the Giants are doing. I'm telling you right now, if everything goes right for the New York Giants, and even getting Darnay Holmes too, that slot corner, if everything goes right for the New York Giants, we're looking at this team competing in the next couple of years, and they're going to be right back in it with the Cowboys and the Eagles. But every year, I'm always thinking about dark horses that are going to make the playoffs, dark horses to really have a boost in the coming seasons, and because I always try to predict these things, and I always look at the Washington Redskins first, because it's so confusing with the Washington Redskins. They always have good rosters on paper. It's basically Alabama over there in with the Washington Redskins. It's the Crimson Tide and the burgundy and gold, turning into the burgundy and gold, man. The Washington Redskins roster is full of Alabama players. They're full of decent players as well that they get in free agency or in the draft. They don't draft terribly. Their problem is the injuries and things like that. They're very injury prone there. They have the injury bug over there. And Terrence Williams said it best. He was really, really concerned about the coaching staff over there, the medical staff over there, that he couldn't stand, what they were doing over there, and they're responsible for a lot of injuries, and they're responsible for a lot of reasons why players can't get healthy and things like that. He really exposed that as really one of the reasons why he wanted to get traded out of there. He wanted playing for the 49ers, but there's a big problem with ownership, and there's a big problem with the medical staff there in Washington. So they're really dysfunctional over there as the Giants are getting to that area. But the Washington Redskins, hiring a new head coach, and that being Ron Rivera, one of the most highly looked at head coaches, probably the number one on everybody's boards last year as far as coaches goes in the offseason. Ron Rivera is someone I wanted the Giants to target. So you bring him in there. He's a defensive-minded guy. This is really going to boost that defense. On top of that, they drafted guys like Chase Young. I mean, Chase Young is a slam dunk pick, and they were lucky to get him with the second overall pick. You add him to the mix with Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Ryan Kerrigan. That defensive line, the front seven in general, can be one of the most scariest in the NFL under the right coaching. Ron Rivera, in my opinion, can do that. Now, it's very interesting to see because Ron Rivera is a 4-3 guy. So I don't know if they're going to switch to the 4-3. I haven't really looked that up yet. But either way, I think they're in good hands with Ron Rivera as far as the defense goes. You look at Dwayne Haskins at quarterback. I am of the belief that Dwayne Haskins can develop into the quarterback everybody thinks he will be. I am of the belief of that, but his growth is going to get stunted if the pieces aren't put around him. They did pretty well in the draft. I wouldn't say it was fantastic, but I definitely think they're going in the right direction. Like I said, they added Chase Young with that second overall pick. You can't go wrong with that. Their second round pick, Antonio Gibson, I think they reached a little too high for this guy. He's still a decent player, don't get me wrong, but he's those hybrid guys. A lot of these hybrid guys don't really fit in the NFL. He's a running back, wide receiver hybrid. We'll see how he fits into this offense. Sadiq Charles, the offensive tackle out of LSU. They had to fill in that role for Terrence Williams. He's out of there. So you have to, fill in that. I don't know why I kept saying Terrence Williams. I meant Trent Williams. I'm sorry, guys. Trent Williams. I'm sorry. I thought they could have added a little bit more to that offensive line. They still have Brendan Scherf over there. I believe they still have Morgan Moses over there. But I thought they could have added more to that offensive line. I don't know if Sadiq Charles is really ready to just be put up there at left tackle. We'll see. I think they still need help there. Dwayne Haskins needs help. He's very immobile. He's like a Big Ben kind of guy with minus the pocket awareness, which he definitely needs to work on. But the Redskins are, in my opinion, they're on the right track. They also got Antonio Gandy Golden in the draft as well. I really like where the Redskins are going. I love where all these NFC East teams are going. I think we're all trending upward, and we can get to one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Can the NFC East get back to the glory days and be one of the most feared divisions in the NFL? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'll see you guys in the next video.